Elon Musk brought his kid X into the White House with Trump, and you really can see in this one the dynamic of Trump being submissive to this guy. But this is, and you know, they did a full, and again, this had to be arranged. So this is Elon Musk and Trump in the Oval Office together. That's Elon's kid, who he uses as basically a human shield, you know, to make himself look human. And you can tell that this was like, you got to come out and start saying something, because the press are asking me all these fucking questions and I don't even know the answer. So you got to be standing there so I can say to your face, I'll stop him if he tries to do anything wrong, even though he wouldn't understand. If Elon Musk was doing something wrong, he wouldn't even have a concept that it's happening. And you'll see that there's apparently a couple of questions in this dealing with, like, how are we supposed to know who's the checks and balance on you, right?
X, are you okay? This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual.
Yeah, never pass up an opportunity to just throw some racism in the very beginning, which is basically, fast racehorses create fast racehorses. So Elon's a genius. So this kid's probably going to be a genius too. Like, I hope he is. I hope the kid grows up healthy and smart and better than his dad and a genius and all that kind of shit. But that's not why Trump's saying it. Trump is saying it because white South African baby is a white South African baby, has a white South African baby, and they're better than other people. That's what that means.
And he's got this, got this cool train he's got.
So thank you very much. We had a busy day today. The king just left, and we...
The king? Did he? Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ just left. Where did you send him? Probably to Gitmo for suggesting all that commie stuff. He means the King of Jordan.
We've had a great discussion, terrific discussion concerning Gaza and everything else. We had discussions also about Saturday at 12 o'clock.
By the way, Saturday at 12 o'clock is his new arbitrary date for, if all the hostages aren't out by then they're just going to level Gaza. Just so you know, that's what he's talking about. He's specifically doing that. Oh, and if you think he looks like shit here, you should see a clip of I played a clip of the Super Bowl interview that he did with Brett Baer. He looks even worse. Like, it's one of these situations where he looks slightly more healthy when he's puffy, because if he's not, from whatever shit he's been eating, because once that puffiness passes after the puff has passed, after he's eaten whatever shit he's done for the day, then his face starts to, like, the swelling goes down and he just looks gaunt.
It'll be a big moment. We'll see what happens. I don't expect much happening with these people, but we'll see what happens. And we're going to be signing a very important deal today. It's
by the way, there was a fucking video earlier, like Forbes. It was like, it literally, like, they've run out of titles, just like Trump signs more stuff, because he's not passing. There are no bills. He's not making law. He's just pushing the law that exists as far as it can be pushed. That's what this is. That's what all of his executive orders are. That's what all of his directives are, and his declarations and shit like that. It's just everything that's in, because, we presumed a level of morality and maturity in our presidents that I think we should have learned after Bush 2 wasn't a good idea. But he's just running around pushing the boundaries. That's all he's doing. But he's not creating new ones.
Doge, and I'm going to ask Elon to tell you a little bit about it and some of the things that we found, which are shocking.
Also, again, you'll notice they're short on details. Shocking, or it's the same shit we've heard.
Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse.
He loves that phrase, because that's how they get around the idea of theft, peaking, and subterfuge.
And
sabotage. You left out sabotage, because that's the thing most people are concerned about. None of us are. Hey, I got news for you, fuckwad. I don't care about waste, fraud, and abuse. I'm not worried that he's going to accidentally take away something that's wasteful, fraudulent, or abusive, and I'm going to get upset about it. It doesn't work that way. And I understand that different, like, administrations have different priorities, so they're going to kill certain programs. None of us are worried about that shit. That's fairly normal. What we're concerned with is that while this asshole is in there pretending to give a fuck about waste, fraud, and abuse, he's rifling through all the systems, inserting software or taking details that he shouldn't have a right to access because he's not elected. You are, but you had to take an oath that if you violate it, even though you're president, you can be punished for it, and the people around you take it as well. He hasn't taken an oath, and he's not going to. By the way, some of the Doge guys that have gotten hired in these things, they've had to take that oath, and they can go to jail later if they break it. Musk can't. He can tell them to do shit, and when they do it, they're on the hook for it, not him. So all of his little Doge minions, those are the guys that when Democrats take the House again, probably maybe even by April, but definitely, in the next year or so, they're the ones that are going to be in deep shit because they're the ones who broke their oath. Anybody outside, Elon Musk is not a government employee. I mean, he might as well be because of all his fucking contracts, but he can get away with it.
I think it's very important, and that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption.
Yeah, they don't want you to stop looking for corruption. As a matter of fact, there are whole fucking committees that are in charge of that in the goddamn House. You have the House and the Senate. That's their fucking job.
Especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth.
In a $7 trillion governmental budget, you found hundreds of millions of dollars or $100 of million of dollars, and most of it's just shit you don't like.
Much more than that in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the...
By the way, he says, and much more than that in a short period of time. The reason he says that is because the number is really pathetic compared to the amount of money that the government spends. Like the waste, fraud, and abuse they're finding is shit, again, committees should have found anyways.
Corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that.
Yeah, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that you unelected people who have not taken an oath to the country don't get access to the fucking treasury, and you can't just rifle through people's shit.
Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation.
Nobody cares.
I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure.
Elon, explain to me what this thing is, because I don't get it. It's like a grandson coming over to fix the Wi-Fi. You know what? I wish Trump would interrupt him and go, because there's a couple of details you might have missed here. Won't happen.
So at a high level, if you say what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Well, if you don't.
I think the kid has to pee.
Don't have a feedback loop. Okay, we would have to. If you. It's all right. So, tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
Gravitas? You're wearing a bill cap in the Oval Office, you fuckhead. You're wearing a t-shirt under an overcoat. Shut the fuck up, gravitas. Shut the fuck up. Your kid is dressed better than you are.
If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. We have a Republican House and a Senate. It's a terrible feedback loop.
And if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have?
Yeah, asshole, you would be the bureaucrat in this circumstance. You're an unelected pencil pusher.
If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives.
They do. That's what we have committees for. It's just nobody watches C-SPAN.
In the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy.
Right. That's what Doge is. It's a bureaucracy. That's what it is.
So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives.
like the judges that they've elected federally and their representatives in the House and the Senate who've passed laws about what constitutes security clearance and the fact that you haven't done any of the work to get it?
The President, the House, and the Senate decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy.
Yeah, no, they do decide it because they create the laws, and that bureaucracy you're bitching about enforces that law internally because they're the actual watcher of it. They're the ones who do it day to day. The fucking House, all right, a mayor's office and their transportation secretary for the city of Washington, D.C. pass rules on parking meters, but they don't check the fucking parking meters every goddamn day. These unelected parking meter attendants do.
This is not to say that there aren't some good. There are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy.
You don't.
You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative.
Weird. It'd be almost like they'd say, "Hey, you elected." Hold on, my chat won't reload. Do you elect all your soldiers, but they fight all your wars? That how it works?
And this is
there's a big bureaucracy of soldiers fighting the wars when the Congress that approves the military aid should actually pick up a gun and do all the fighting. What are you talking about? It's delegation, fuckwad. Also, again, you're a bureaucrat. You're the definition of a bureaucrat. An unelected body of people appointed by the administration to end run around the purse strings of the House and the Senate, which is what this is a bureaucracy, is a bureaucratic state.
This is not something that people want, and it's not. It does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit. And if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding.
No, it isn't. Again, we have a $27 trillion economy and a $36 trillion debt, 37 or so. Based largely on two major emergencies, not because of Social Security, largely because of 2008, followed very shortly by COVID. That's the biggest stack in it. That's why it leapt ahead so much. And interestingly enough, the economy has grown along with it.
That the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because.
No, it isn't, because interest rates are inexorably high. When they go back down, they will offer new debt, pay off the other debt, roll some of it over into new stuff for long-term things, and then lower the cost of the debt over time.
We've got a lot.
Again, it's not that this isn't a problem, but the idea that like $150 million worth of cuts, or even cutting 40,000 jobs from the federal workforce, which is about, 2 days worth of spending, is going to solve it, is just stupid. Meanwhile, what do you lose by not having those people doing their job?
We spend a lot of money on defense, but if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America.
Yeah, big deal. We have House members saying this all the time. What the fuck do we need you for? So you can just comb through and just steal from the United States?
To remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy...
Also, why is he doing the big Illuminati hand gesture?
Numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million. etc.?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing.
Also, USAID isn't a government. I mean, the money they hand out is to NGOs and non-governmental organizations. I got news for you. There are rich people, by the way, who also do charity work, also have NGOs. A lot of these, I mean, even Trump had a phony fucking foundation. He still doesn't know he doesn't even know what fucking Musk is talking about.
In which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So we're looking at if you look at say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place. That are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got a comment.
Also, we're just supposed to take his word for it. I would like to remind you. There's no specific to this at all. And also, each department categorizes things differently because in the case of, say, I don't know, the Department of Education, all their payments are overt, whereas in the Department of Defense, some of their payments would be covert. And in USAID, for cultural reasons and fear of reprisal and danger for people working abroad, that if you're funded by America or something, even if you're doing hunger outreach, then in some places that can put your life in danger. They do some of it covertly. They pay it under the table. And then some of it they do overtly. That's why there's not a single categorization, because the U.S. government is not a fucking business. You can't fire the poor.
Fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list.
From when? A year from when? Because you sign off on a budget that starts on in the next fiscal year, because that's how budgets work.
And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations. We're talking about
no, we're not.
Known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation can take up to a year to get on the list. And even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So.
And again, vagary, non-specific. Okay, and also he says there's a let's see, the Doge website. So he says they have at one point, there it is, yeah. And I'd like to show you something real quick. Notice the name of this, Doge.gov. Department of Government Efficiency Government.com. Is that what that is? For fucking real? Really? That's what you... Okay. Our mission is buy Doge.gov meme coin. First thing they do in the thing, Doge the trailer. This is him signing it with the little fucking dog on there. He establishes it with an executive order, which he can't do. We're at Trump's inaugural crypto ball is the only meme coin sponsor. Meme coins explode as Ethereum registers record-breaking 883 inflow. Pennies out. Chad's in. It's Trump like memeing over the fucking grave of the penny. You Pepe whale apes 250K Doge bottom. This is a crypto site. Doge.gov integrates real-time Doge clock. You can now track the amount of taxpayer dollars that the Doge has saved in real time by visiting Doge clock. Well, let's open that shit up, shall we? There you go. Oh, fuck you. I'm not joining it. You can now track Doge following that thing. Doge clock, Doge tracker. I don't know. It takes you through X to get there. That should tell you something. Fuck you. 37 billion taxpayer dollar sales, 251 savings per taxpayer. Where's the, let's see, maybe there's details. Hold on. 1 trillion, 2 trillion. They've got 37 billion. I think that's just because they're counting like getting rid of most of USAID, right? And again, how, based on what? It's about the most undervalued meme coin, but Elon Musk host first official Doge spaces. Doge AI intern enters the building. Let's see, what's the national debt? Who cares? One-on-one with Vance. This is the thing. A bunch of fucking memes. Him being a douchebag. Exchanges, U.S. debt tracker, U.S. deficit tracker, articles shop, memes, exchanges, the feed, friends. I don't know, the feed? Maybe that's it? Where the fuck is this magic number? I'm genuinely trying to find this. Let's see. Latest videos, don't care. These are all the coins they sell because it's really just crypto. It's a crypto scam. Articles. Nope.
Well, what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that.
No, you're not. No, this is not. These are not common sense controls at all. You weirdo. Not at all. Common sense would dictate that anybody with access to the government. Oh, there we go. I finally got my chat to restart. Anybody with access to the kind of information he's getting would have to take an oath to serve the country. Yeah.
Should be present that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems incredible.
Maybe too. Oh, sorry, my mic is low for you guys. Okay, hold on 1 second. I will fix that. Let me try to dry this up a little bit. Is that a little better? Sorry. And then audio should be a little better. There we go. And then I'll bring this down a touch.
That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously.
Jesus Christ. Complaint minimization. Can you tell me that you have never done anything necessary in your fucking life? Yeah, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, veterans, food hunger, food assistance programs, farmers. They bitch when they don't get their money. They complain, you know?
But if people don't receive money, they do complain.
Right, because their crops will die, their children will get sick or undernourished or die themselves. What is the nature of their complaints? You chintzy fuck.
And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So then when you understand that, then
the who? The first what?
Don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest.
The fraudsters? What word was that? Does anybody know?
So then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything just, they approve all the payments at Treasury. Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints.
Well, wait a minute. Treasury doesn't make the decision about the money going out the door. Congress does. The fraudsters? Oh, it's fraudsters? Do you think that's what he said? Okay.
But now we're saying that, no, actually, we are going to complain. If money is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay. your tax dollars need to be spent. Why?
Look at Trump, just fucking. I'll just sit here, farting up my chair, just sitting in the background, just thinking about my Diet Coke button, and if that stupid kid is gonna fuck with it.
Wisely on the things that matter to the people. I mean, these things, like, it's just common sense. It's not draconian or radical. I think it's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay.
Oh, this is okay. Apparently, there are people in Social Security that are 150 years old. Are there more than 2? Are there 100? Are there 12? Are there 16? Because if it's less than a fifth of what goes out the door, fuck off. Again, this is just like this is micromanaging Congress's job. Again, half this isn't like stuff he's doing for the White House. It's stuff he's doing against the Congress. It's also bullshit.
They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out.
Yeah, name them. What's their name? Obviously, they're not alive if they're 150. So what? Like who? And if there's more than one, you should have a list of them with you, right? I mean, how many of you, if you saw a file that said there were people 150 years old, here's this lady, Edna Margin, Abigail Forrester, in this thing, you would just have their name memorized that day, all day long. It'd end up being a joke around the office. Damn, man, how late were you out last night? You're starting to look like Abigail Forrester, right? Fuck.
So, that's a case where, I think they're probably dead.
A case?
It's my guess. Or they should be very famous. One of the two.
I don't care. Apparently there's one of them. You don't get to look at everybody's Social Security shit because you found one person who's 150 and you're lying. I'm just going to assume you're lying. This is just dumb. Why the ever-loving fuck should we take your word for it? And by the way, they will. Right-wing media will talk about Glenn Beck will be doing videos about 150-year-old people, and I bet it's Joe Biden and blah, 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 old fuck jokes for weeks without ever verifying any of it. And none of it will fucking chart. And their check isn't still going out the door. They may have not been zeroed out of the system, but they're not still getting paid because there was a death certificate and it went one way and went the other. It's just dumb.
And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, why is there no identifying information?
A witness relocation program. How about that? Maybe there's a whole bunch of them just for that. That probably explained maybe 50. They got a new Social Security number provided by the government. It's got a little code next to it or an asterisk. It says don't ask. Right? You're welcome. I solved it. And how much money was it? It was like $32,000. Well, then shut the fuck up.
Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately. I'll tell you another crazy thing. So, one of the things is we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this obviously there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, let's if people can retire, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine, And like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955.
Oh, God. One moment, please. Hold on, let me open up a different browser. Excellent. I don't care. Please go away. Okay. Limestone mine retirement facility, whatever. Iron Mountain, the final obstacle to okay, this is for those who serve. This is an article from 2021. Iron Mountain, the final obstacle for federal retirement. This is something that's been around for a long time. Again, these guys are not uncovering anything. As of the end of April, the OPM retirement backlog was 25,386, which is down 7.2% from the previous month's ending inventory of 27,368. The number of incoming claims for retirement benefits also reduced, going down to 4% from March's incoming 9,664. For just April's completed claims, which equates to 9,414 new retirees, the average processing time for such paperwork to be finalized was 71 days. Back in 1977, the average was 61 days. Despite many efforts over the decades, the costly, time-consuming operations involved in officially making a federal worker into a retiree haven't changed much. The procedures in place are still analog and paper-based, and often called inefficient, wasteful, and unacceptable. In fact, such criticism has been made before, specifically by Congress, in 1981. In 1997, in 2008, in 2014, and in 2018 when the idea of a merger between the GSA and the OPM was being discussed. If one was curious enough to look for the answers regarding why the process is so arduous, he or she may find themselves at Iron Mountain in Boyers, Pennsylvania. There, 600 OPM employees work 230 feet underground in an old limestone mine, dealing with truckloads of paperwork, literally. Since the 1960s, several trucks bring boxes and boxes of paperwork for hundreds of federal government workers on a daily basis. The reason for the peculiar location of facility is not secrecy or security, but space. To handle the demands of the largest employer in the country, there needs to be room for all of those forms, as the process is still weighed down by physical files and documents. Even what is performed on a computer must be printed out and filed away within the catacomb-like aisles of untouched filing cabinets. The system attempted digitization in the early 1980s, but those in charge faced so many complications, the agency didn't try again until the late 90s. After failing to get a system built themselves, the government turned to contractors who had a computer-based system in place to go live by 2008. Alarms flashed in the year prior, though, as the digital system had an overall success rate of just 18% when evaluated on how many test claims had been completed sufficiently. $106 million later, the OPM facility resumed function with the process established back in 1977. And such analog systems are still in use today. After reaching a historic low of 156 days for average claim processing time, the goals were set in 2013 to maintain an inventory of 13,000 and an average completion time of 60 days. For the most part, the 60 days long has been the standard, but the inventory only rarely approaches 13,000 and often hovers around 16 to 20,000. It should be noted that the failure to transition to digital methods is partly due to the numerous variables, intricacies, and peculiarities potentially involved in calculating the dollar amount of a federal retiree's pension check. These complexities accentuate one of the main reasons to sit down with a chartered federal employee benefits consultant to go over your individual situation before retiring and submitting forms to Iron Mountain. You don't want to be caught off guard or miss out on your hidden tidbit you previously overlooked. This is from Benefits Ben, the Iron Mountain guy. This is where they start. Because in your retirement, you have to be able to prove physically you were retired. And if you're during the Cold War, if everybody's records were wiped out or that kind of shit, like you'd have no recourse. You could lose your retirement checks and all that kind of stuff. So they have to maintain a paper copy of it. The government, is like military and everything.
So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move.
By the way, this is bullshit. They bring trucks into this place. It's about humans filing it. It's not the elevator. It's the fact that this dude has to put the boxes everywhere, that they have a staff of like 260 people, but it's nowhere near like removing and categorizing all this shit with limited space.
how many people can retire from the federal government? And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else.
Also, again, notice how he oversimplifies this stupid idea that there are 1,000 people working there. There's not. There's how many people? 260? Sorry, there's 600 of them. There's 600 people there, not 1,000. And and they don't carry manila envelopes. They move an entire federal worker's digital life into this. It sounds crazy, largely because he is intentionally oversimplifying it to make himself seem like the good guy.
And you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way. So anyway, so I think that's an example. Like at a high level,
it's a terrible example. Why would you want turnover? Why would you want the system to be such that turnover in the government is that quick? And why would you expect it to be?
If you say, like, how do we increase
and if somebody's retiring, they know when their retirement date is months ahead of time. So you file for your retirement, and that, instead of giving like 2 weeks notice like you would at a regular business, you give, it's 2 months or the end of the quarter.
Prosperity is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. And so you increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher standard of living available for everyone. That's the actual goal.
And you're going nowhere near it, because shuffling around 600 people in a fucking filing cabinet in a mountain in Pennsylvania isn't going to do shit to the deficit at all.
Everyone's very quiet, brother. So people normally is quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all,
by the way, that's a setup.
You couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public.
Yeah, you could. Yes, you absolutely could. 78 to 75 is not a trouncing. You didn't get 60-40. You didn't overwhelm the electorate. And again, even in the swing states, it was a hair's breadth in a couple of places. You got a 2-vote majority in the House. The senators that won weren't like ultra MAGA. So simmer the fuck down. Again, if one person gets sick and 2 people don't like Trump's fucking budget, Democrats will ultimately run the House. Yeah, you can. Get the fuck out of here.
The public voted, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that.
No, a lot of them voted over the border, and they thought inflation was Biden's fault and that grocery prices would magically come down under Trump, and they bought it. They didn't do it so that you could funnel all of their tax information onto a hard drive and skip town, dummy.
That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what the people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people...
What about the people that voted against it, that are 75 million people who are like, fuck you?
They don't get what they voted for. But in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
What? And also why you're doing the Illuminati, vagina hand sign again?
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is
Yeah, Operation Trust Me Bro is in full effect.
accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact,
No, you're not. No, you aren't. Not trying to be as transparent as possible, or you would have prepared for this thing with details about the shit you're talking about.
our actions, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website.
Yeah, I looked at the Doge website. I didn't see that shit at all. Did you guys see that? Did you see like a list of what they found?
So all of our
I mean, I see big numbers, big kind of generic bullshit, but I don't see it's kind of light on details.
actions which are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case that where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization.
Then you're fucking high.
So, you know, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're
Yes, a bank robbery is I can understand it. It's very simple, easy to understand.
we're you know, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payments.
Jesus Christ. Again, tell me again about how unelected bureaucrats are to blame for all our fucking problems. Mr. Unelected Bureaucrat, who's like, if we just use like a payment system, that if they took away my stapler, but I put everything into a categorization file, and everything was supposed to go into the file, but people stopped putting it in the file, and then someone took my stapler, and I'm going to blow the whole place up.
It is explained that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid.
For a year.
These are not individual
In the next budgetary cycle.
judgment decisions.
Yeah, they are. Here's what you do. You don't have anything to do with that. You're not a fucking employee of the federal government. It's the House's job to do that. So you pass your shit along to them, and if they go, no, that's supposed to be there, then you can fuck off.
These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money.
Yeah, it's called the Congress. If you have and the Republicans have had the House. They can go after all this shit. What were they doing? Like fucking Comer was chasing Biden around with a fucking magnifying glass like Clouseau for fucking 4 years for nothing. This is what all this shit. They're like, I can't believe that there's a system where they put a thing together. You know, like it's ridiculous. What? And they put this thing together where you know, like if this would be something that everyone can understand, is very very simple. And we're doing everything right, and we're not doing anything wrong. And I've told you that, and that should be enough. And these kind of things. But I don't know who controls the purse strings of the government, but it's obviously not this asshole.
Spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that?
Yes.
Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in
No.
place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public.
No, they are not. The fuck are you talking about? That's like saying James Bond actually works for Universal Imports. He's got a business card. He gave you his business card. It says James Bond Universal Imports. I don't even know why you guys are giving him a hard time. He couldn't possibly have a USB stick in his pocket. Leave this man alone.
So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, you know, that there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say,
I'm saying it right now, motherfucker. A guy who's involved in meme coins and wanting to create, like, shift crypto doesn't belong, you know, the country towards crypto and create a crypto reserve with this fuckwad doesn't belong anywhere near the goddamn treasury. Anybody who employs hackers who are racists doesn't belong inside the fucking treasury.
Immediately, you know?
Including you yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust. Not
Yeah, that's why we don't trust you, you dumb motherfucker. What transparency? Look, I went in the building and you didn't see anything. I don't have, there's nothing up my sleeve. Like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, honestly, this is all just trust me, bro bullshit.
simply somebody asserting trust. So not so
It's exactly that. What are you talking about? It's exactly someone asserting trust, you fucking dipshit.
somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on.
No, you can't. You locked people out of the building while you were there, fuckhead. What are you talking? This is the dumbest shit. This is fucking ridiculous. Stop it. Stop. If you want to say I'm not doing anything wrong and people, I'm an open book, you guys can come and follow me around. That's one thing. But the whole idea, like, we just closed the doors because we didn't like the draft and we're only keeping Democrats out of there because they make a lot of noise. Shut the fuck up.
And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies?
No, you can't.
Or not. It's totally obvious.
No, it's not. I mean, it's obvious to me because I'm going to assume you are.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that.
Who's we, motherfucker? Who's we? If we thought that in our joyous we-fulness, as I'm peeing right now. I am.
Segment or look in that area, if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And
when? After it already happened? Jesus, man. That's the point. Again, what are you going to play? Fucking red light, green light? Or you're getting warmer? You're getting a little warmer. Cooler. Okay, you can be in that area. How about this? How about we put an AI-based shock collar, and anywhere he goes where there's a government program, you can even run it on Grok. Just put a shock collar on him, and if he goes anywhere near any part of the government where his contract payments go through it, or he would have access to information about people that he could have in his customer base, or anybody who has a Twitter account, or any of that stuff, he gets just a real sharp, burning sensation. How about that? It could, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a collar. It could be a suppository. I give a shit. But how about that? That'd be an easy way to solve it. And then, how about this? You love fucking reality TV. We'll mount those fucking character cams on him, right? Around his head like that, on a fucking stand. So as he's walking, like, hey, guys, let's go over here and look and see what's in here. Let's go. That's where the NASA payments go. How about over here? I'd watch that. I mean, shit, you could charge people to watch that, make it pay-per-view and pay off the debt. Yeah, I got to say, it's not a bad idea. I don't really go for that myself, but just saying, I think there's a huge audience out there for it.
we watch that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this.
Oh, really? What are you going based on the companies of his that have government contracts that are only successful because they can guarantee payment from the government that he's himself policing right now, or his shitty, like, fucking digital version of the Tenderloin that he runs now, that used to be a functioning website social media company?
Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned.
Oh dear.
Are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, he didn't mention the people that are getting, who's getting these things?
And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've
Billions of dollars. Let's hear it.
found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words.
And waste? You found both of those words?
As opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case.
What was the other? He couldn't remember, like, waste. He couldn't remember the word waste. Listen to this. What was that word I was saying? The fucking word about
groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse.
And I don't want to say waste right now because I'm old and I'm really looking for that word. And every time I try to think it, I say watermelon, and I'm afraid that I can't pronounce watermelon when I think the word watermelon, because it's waste, fraud, and watermelon. It's not. That's not it, is it? I can't. Can somebody look into the oranges of? Because is it fruit cup? Is it fruit cup time? Hold on. I have to stretch this guy out. It'll be here. Yeah.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
Yes, and the watermelon, the waste, the watermelon, fraud, and obtuse.
It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And
Well, then that would be the waste part because you don't think it's worthwhile. The fraud and abuse wouldn't apply to stuff that you just don't think.
you know what I'm talking about.
No, we don't. No one knows what you're talking about, watermelon.
And abuse.
You're like you watermelon of space.
It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy.
No, I don't. No. I mean, I know what crazy is. I think I'm looking at it. So why don't you just break it all down for us?
So, but we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge who's an activist.
No, you haven't. Shutting down an entire department because you don't like it is not finding waste, fraud, and abuse. Shutting down USAID because you don't like what it does and finding like fucking $32,000 payments every so often that you just like, oh my God, can you believe this happened? Yeah, 10 years ago. Shut the fuck up.
Judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt. And it is very corrupt. It's very...
Yeah, but you should be able to prove that without just shutting down large swaths of it that affect, I don't know, farmers and children and school lunch programs and stuff like that. SNAP. Like, we figured, I think the whole point of being smart is, hey guys, like, it's like selling yourself as a brain surgeon and coming in like Gallagher. That's what this is. This is like, I can find, the government is full of waste, fraud, and abuse, and I as your surgeon will go in there and cut out the waste and the fraud and abuse. Don't worry, your heart and your lungs will still work. I'm just going to remove the cancer of waste, fraud, and abuse. And then you show up, you're on the fucking operating table, and this motherfucker comes in with a giant sledge-o-matic. I'm like,
very, very, it's also foolish. As an example, a man has a contract for 3 months and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, because nobody ends a contract. You get a lot of that. You have a contract.
That's because it became part of a continuing resolution in these things. They didn't have to re-up the contract. Who's this guy? What is he doing? Cutting the fucking White House lawn, dummy? He hasn't renegotiated his contract in 10 years.
That's a 3-month contract. Now, normally, if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months. It's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years, They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month. And you have various...
Well, again, that's an oversight problem. Right? Also, what's his name? Who's the dude? I call bullshit. Or I'm going to guess that they did this and he kept doing the work and he's just been on the fucking roles, even though his contract expired, he's still delivering whatever the fuck it was, and he's a regular supplier of something, like fucking White House gift shop trinkets or some shit.
There's things like that, and even much.
What things? What? No, I don't want to hear things like that. What is that? Who the fuck are you talking about? What is the guy doing? What was the contract for? Why was it continued? Did you stop it because it should have been stopped? Or do you just not think that if they didn't re-up the fucking contract because both sides were getting what they needed from it and didn't feel the need to or some shit?
Much worse than that, actually, much worse.
Well, then say it. What is it? No, actually much worse. Then what? What? You're the fucking president, you asshole. You're standing next to the dude who's you've given the keys to everything. And the both of you are like, this is weird. There's some like weird stuff. What? Like what? It was like a weird piece of bureaucracy where you can't retire people, more than 10,000 at a time because it's, yeah, normally we don't do that. We don't need to create a system where you can roll over the entire fucking federal workforce that fast. Why would you? It doesn't matter. We haven't fixed it because it's not a problem. The efficiency of retirement is meaningless. Everybody gives their date months ahead. Who gives a shit? It only matters because you're trying to fire everybody, asshole. It's not inefficient. It does the task it's for. You're just trying to overclock a normally functioning system all the goddamn time. And it's not crazy. Whew.
And I guess you call that incompetence, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, I would call this incompetence.
It could be corruption. It could be a deals made on both sides, where...
Well, it could be. You're the fucking president. You can call the DOJ and the FBI, and you can get an answer back in hours. You know what? Fuck that. In minutes. I'm dead serious. If I was sitting at that fucking desk right now and this happened and we were like, thanks everybody, and they left or whatever, click, 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 click. Hey, all right, get me somebody at the DOJ and give me our working group on political corruption. All right, powwow. There's a contract for this thing. He brought it up. What's the deal with this thing? Is it a continuing rolling thing or whatever? Like, I want to know in an hour. This is a presidential priority. What do we get from the contract? How much has it been paid out? Is the business still in existence? Are they still doing it? I want to know in an hour. You absolutely fucking could. But then you'd have to tell everybody about it and they'd go, it's a what? Yeah, it's like this guy makes like $6,000 a year fucking making, flagpole tops for the White House. And he's did it 3 years, like 20 years ago. They signed a contract to do it. And he finished it, and now we just buy him. We pay him for him to replace the stuff afterwards on the regular, and we don't need a contract because it costs this much, and this is the supplier, and nothing's changed, and off we go. Or it's been happening for years, and the total amount of it is whatever, $1.2 million, and we arrested the guy. But it's not because everybody wanted it, and it's not indicative of billions of dollars of fraud. It's a thing. You hunted down one thing. Good for you. That the House should have hunted down on their own if they didn't have bigger fish to fry, like fucking 9/11, Iraq and Afghanistan, the 2008 crash, AIDS, fucking any number of hurricanes, and the fucking COVID pandemic.
I guess the money he kicks. I think there's a lot of kickback here. I see a lot of kickback here.
There's a lot of
No, you don't.
kickbacks.
A tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to give out some of these contracts, so he has to get a kickback. So that's what I got.
All right. Well, tell you what. If indeed you find some kickbacks are happening, and they are in red states like Texas and Republican districts, I presume you will bring those people up on charges. That you won't selectively go after people that, like Democrats who paid for shit you don't like because you hate trans people or you hate gay people or you're fucked up about these things and it's just that you think this is a cultural war win with your followers or any of that shit. But again, this is just blather. unless you pony up. And if we find out that like I want to hear follow-ups on. Don't you guys want to hear follow-ups? I want to hear the story of this fucking dude. 3-month contract went on for 20 years. Who the fuck is this guy? Right? Or do you think they'll just go, we stopped the payment and then we had to make a new contract because the guy's been paying for stuff for years. So we just made a new contract. It wasn't a big deal or whatever. Didn't turn out to be anything. Or this guy was a total ripoff. Where does he live? In Florida? Huh. What does he do? He's apparently in charge of making sure that charities don't spend the money they raise on paintings of the head of the charity. No shit.
For that and borders and military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it. And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And
if it's there.
And we've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions.
No, you haven't.
Billions, many billions of dollars.
No, you haven't. Just because you don't like USAID overall, there's like $120 million worth of stuff that you just don't like that you found. You haven't found billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. And again, that number that's on the Doge site, fucking pony up. Where is it? Hold on. I didn't open it in that window, did I? Nope. Okay. Reopen it over here. And by the way, staff chat, I don't know if you guys can. Yeah, there you go. CSL says also Musk can't just delete shit or download it. That's why they want paper. Absolutely. And let's see. Yeah. I'm trying to see. Let's see. Doge so far. The website. I don't know. What the fuck? What has Doge cut so far? Canceled a number of DEI initiatives. Okay, again, as well as certain consulting contracts, canceling leases for underused federal buildings. Again, those are already in bills, while also working to consolidate duplicative agencies and programs. That's what they're working to do. Doge has focused most of its work on canceling DEI programs. We didn't have fucking billions of... Okay, Doge wrote on Tuesday. Here it is. Doge wrote on Tuesday... that it canceled 12 contracts in the Government Services Administration and the Department of Education that resulted in a total savings of about $30 million. It canceled 12 underutilized leases for $3 million. On Monday, it canceled 36 contracts for about $165 million across 6 agencies. Doge wrote in post, it canceled 22 leases in the last 6 days with $44 million. These are just buildings that they've talked about anyways. Like, they've been talking, like, since COVID, they've been talking about shutting down like these pieces of like U.S. real estate that the government has but doesn't use. 85 contracts related to DEI. Oh, again. At more than a dozen federal agencies worth roughly $1 billion. We'll just take their word for it. It also canceled $45 million scholarship program for students in Burma, right? Because it was DEI or something. Again, why is that? Why is a $45 million scholarship program for students in Burma bad? Because, I don't know, foreigners. USAID, and then they canceled that. Okay, that's the billions he's talking about there. How much does Doge save? Doge posted on January 20th, the group is saving the federal government approximately $1 billion a day, mostly from stopping the hiring of people into unnecessary positions, deleting of DEI, and stopping improper payments to foreign organizations, all consistent with the president's executive orders. Good start, though this number needs to be increased to greater than $3 billion a day, Doge added. Hasn't provided a detailed breakdown of cuts, so it's unclear how it is calculating its savings it's claiming. Sorry, there it is. It's called bullshitting. Musk claimed on Friday that he was cautiously optimistic that they'll reach the $4 billion a day by for year 2026 reduction this weekend. He previously suggested cutting $4 billion a day would need to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. Most federal spending comes from mandatory spending, such as Social Security, Medicare, and the interest on the national debt. DOGE is thus far focused entirely on discretionary spending, which is subject to annual appropriations by Congress, and so annually you can take it away and everybody knows it, and it's just fucking stupid, and this is so aggravating and lame. Yeah, that's it. The number yeah. Yeah, again, most of this is like the stopping the hiring of people into unnecessary positions. I don't know how the fuck you. That's just like we've saved the government money by hiring fewer black people because they can't do the job. That's what it seems like. That's what he's talking about. This is just dumb. And the transparency bullshit. Like somebody needs to push back as far as the questions going. It sounds like a lot of trust me, bro.
And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find.
No. Yeah, you're gonna find it right after people can take their cyber trucks and send it around as a taxi and it won't explode, and make money while they sleep as an owner of a Tesla. Any day now. Also, their job will be taken by a Optimus.
That will have quite an impact on the budget. And you'll go
in your head
to a judge where they handpick a judge and he has certain leanings. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but he has
well, yeah, because you'd be in jail if you hadn't appointed the judge in Florida.
Certain leanings, and he wants us to stop looking.
No, he wants you to start looking, you dumb motherfucker. He just doesn't want you to let a bunch of people who haven't sworn an oath to the government into secret areas. That's it. You can have at it. Fuck, I don't know why there aren't stacks of fucking binders and books all over your goddamn office right now.
You stop looking. I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million. $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants. All illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Yeah.
Mr. Musk, I'm going to ask you a question. You said
If I may.
Also, the reason they're paying whatever, and again, the twice the room rate stuff, again, temporary housing, rotating people through, taking over the entire place. So get the fuck out of here. That's the only way that's where the government is like, if we're going to take your building to use it, we got to overcompensate you. Anyways, he's just mad because they didn't use his hotel. And also, that's $58 million. In New York City. In New York fucking City. $58 million. That's it? Honest to God, I'm fairly certain you could have bought the building? Is that what their complaint is?
Sort of just going for the president's comments. At a high level, you say, well, what? How exactly? How do you?
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, great. No, I'm totally locked me right in. I understand what you're trying to say and how you're trying to say it.
What are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from $2 trillion to $1 trillion?
You got to kill poor people. That's really just the only way to do it. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to. Some people just got to stop eating.
And it's really two things.
Two things. Here they come. Okay, so these are the two things. This is your your company's defining mission statement.
Competence and caring.
Competence and caring. Oh, Jen, thank you so much. And so lovely. A whole press conference to say absolutely nothing. Exactly. And again, I will say something, Jen. They are saying something. What they're doing, this is a smokescreen to appear transparent. This is the whole purpose of this is the illusion of transparency. The thing about the like federal workers, here's something we discovered. You didn't discover it. There's fucking articles about it going back to fucking Reagan. The thing wasn't, and it wasn't started in the 50s. It was started in the 70s. It was like, it's a salt mine. It's been there. Limestone mine.
And if you add competence and caring,
if you say them 3 times, competence and caring, competence and caring, competence and caring, Elon Musk will vanish from any room that you're in because he can't coexist with those 2 words in pairing.
you'll cut the budget deficit in half.
What? What are you talking about? What? You will not cut the fucking budget in half with competence and caring. What the? Get the fuck out of here. First of all, you won't even say who's on your fucking team. So we just got to trust you, bro, that they're competent and that they give a fuck when most of them are incel and again, childless bachelors. So for all your bullshit about how like childless cat ladies control the Democratic Party, this motherfucker has a bunch of dudes who don't think there's going to be a future and have no children of their own, can't even hold down a fucking serious relationship. Most of them, I doubt if any of them have fucking pets, much less a relationship. And they're going to be the ones making caring decisions about who lives and who fucking dies. The fuck out of here. And the competence part, like, based on what? Right? Like all the guys who created the nuclear bomb, smart as shit. What's your point? All the guys that Hitler got together for the final solution, pretty on paper, all of them qualify as smart. Thanks, Brian. Right? I mean, technically.
And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be.
We're just supposed to pretend we've never seen a con before? Seriously. What is this asshole selling? A timeshare in hell or fucking gutters you don't have to clean yourself? Amway?
Scrutinized nonstop. But with the support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1. And then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build. And
right? Okay. Which now can you at the same time you're getting rid of these regulations where you're freeing the people to build, are you also freeing the people to live in a building that won't fall over? Right? It's one of my concerns. Yeah.
If we do that, that means...
Do what? Sorry. No. You can't just go, we need to cut regulations because they're not worth anything. You got to tell me which ones you're talking about. I don't want to fucking hear about deregulation in the abstract. It's fucking stupid. And it's how you end up with trainloads of toxic chemicals crashing into small towns in Ohio, dummy.
I think you get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion, between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26.
Yeah, you guys will pay a bunch of extra shit, but I'm not going to feel it. That's what he's saying. There's no inflation. I mean, it'll still stay high. Grocery prices aren't. What he said about grocery prices coming down, obviously, that's bullshit. You know. But if everything works perfectly and nobody cares that I'm stealing millions, if not billions, of dollars in the process, obviously this is something that he's let me do, so he can't commit a crime, therefore he'll pardon me, and that's not what I'm worried about. But if everything works according to plan, by the time you guys realize I've been full of shit, it'll all be gone.
And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's, the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario.
Yeah, it's also not at all the situation we're in, stupid.
For the average American.
No, you have to bring down interest rates the way you're talking. You have to have a recession, or you have to create hundreds of thousands of jobs when no one can fill them. Because you want unemployment versus you want job openings to be higher than available, than the available workers. You want that to stretch out so much, and so you need them to outgrow their actual financial ability to grow at all. Like, it's what the fuck?
I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments dropped.
Yeah, would they even care if I have basically the ability to track everything that is he wiping his boogers on the Resolute desk? Please tell me he is. Every little act of defiance helps.
Great is that for the average American?
Oh yeah, there you go. Pick a winner, kid. And Trump's just riveted. Look at this. Look at look at. Hold on, I gotta point it. That's amazing. Boink. Sorry, I have to hold on. Yeah. Oh, get in there, kid. And Trump's just like he's looking at it like it's a fucking blood sport. That's amazing. Hold on, I've got to do this. Hold on. I need this really bad. Hold on. That's fucking amazing. Don't, it's like, save some for me. You got an extra one of those for your granddad, kid? Is it one of the salty ones? Oh, shit. All right. It's amazing.
We had no idea we were going to find this much. And it's
Wipe it right on the desk, kid. Right on the desk. Nice. Just there, you and I and all. I guess everybody knows. I don't know if the Secret Service has to come and look at him like, oh my fucking god, did my kid just wipe a booger on the Resolute desk? Yes, he did.
open. It's not like complicated. It's
not
simple
that
stuff.
complicated.
It's
just
like,
a lot of work. Yeah.
You can't believe it. A lot of work, a lot of smart people involved. Very, very smart people. But
Doing simple things. It's so simple. Well, then why do you need geniuses to do it? Why couldn't the House handle it? Is Comer that fucking dumb? I'm sorry. I answered my own question, didn't I?
you're talking about anywhere, maybe $500 billion. It's crazy the kind of numbers you're talking
really crazy.
about. You know, normally when you're looking at something, you'll find you're looking for 1 out of 100. Here, you're almost reversing it.
Yeah, you're just looking. You're trying to get rid of everything. And if it again, this goes to like the whatever migrant crime shit or any of this stuff. Like, don't keep giving me the same 5 bullshit stories, especially stuff that's been in the goddamn news, like that fucking Iron Mountain story. Here, look. Let's see if there's another. Here you go. 2012, Federal News Network. All feds wind up buried in a limestone mine. 2012. If you have a plan for retirement, even if the day is years away, be advised it'll take you a long time. All right. Let's see. 2019. An underground journey at the heart of retirement processing. God damn it. Why is this fucking thing just open back up, will you? Yeah, here it is. An underground journey to the heart of retirement processing. Shut the fuck up, you ultramaroon. Oops, and I need this guy back open. There you go.
You look for one that's good.
Yeah.
And you can look at the title and you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And the
Because you can't read and you have no reading comprehension?
public gets it. You know, the public gets it. You've seen the.
No, they haven't, because you're speaking in abstracts. They like the idea of getting rid of corruption in the abstract. But when you start drilling down, you're like, I consider Catholic charities to be corruption. You're like, you what?
The public is saying, why are we paying all this money? This for years, this has gone on.
Mr. Musk, President Trump,
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, go ahead.
Senator Rand Paul today said that Doge cuts will ultimately need a vote in Congress. Do you agree with that? Is that the plan?
I really don't know. I know this. We're finding tremendous fraud and tremendous abuse. If I need a vote of Congress to find fraud and abuse, it's fine with me. I think we'll get the vote, although there'll be some people that wouldn't vote. And
Again, he can't think of the word waste. If you notice that, like his brain won't let it through.
how could a judge want to hold us back from finding all of this fraud and finding all of
Look, I'm just, you have to understand, I'm really worried about your Windows transparency and whether or not you can see, from your backyard through your bedroom window into the bathroom or not. And I'm not really looking into the bathroom. I'm more concerned about the pane of glass. And I would think that people would go, well, obviously you want to know if they would want to know if you could see them. You could tell them later, or maybe not tell them. But the point is, if let's say I was going to buy you some windows, you'd want to know if, like, wow, if I put these up, are they too reflective, or would I be able to see a woman changing in her bathroom? And so it's just important that I stand here with no pants on in your fucking yard, looking through your bedroom window, just to see, because I'm kind of checking out whether or not these are really blackout curtains or not. Like, shut the fuck up.
this incompetence? Why would that happen? Why would even Congress want to do that? Now, Congress.
Why would what happen? Asshole, why would what happen? Why would anyone want fraud? Nobody does. It's like the open borders. Why does the people want open borders? They don't. They want a fucking right to work pass that's not a full green card, so people can come back and forth if they're working on a fucking farm someplace, or seasonal workers for these kind of things. It's not an open border. They used it as a phrase at one point, but they don't want the actual fucking thing open, dummy. They want it porous for function, but they don't want it just willy-nilly open, you dipshit. Same thing. Like, everybody wants to get rid of fraud. You just can't call shit you don't like fraud and use it as an excuse to get rid of it.
If we do need a vote, I think we get a very easy vote, because we have a track record now. We've already found billions of dollars of abuse, incompetence, and corruption.
Yeah, he can't think of the word waste. He can't think about it.
A lot of corruption.
If a judge
Really? What? A lot of corruption? A lot of it? Or just a lot of shit you don't like? Also, DEI isn't corruption just because you don't like it.
does block one of your policies, part of your agenda, will you abide by that ruling? Will you comply
Well, I
with that
always
order?
abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he slowed down the momentum, and it gives crooked people more time to cover up the books.
How would they? You have the books.
You know, if a person's crooked and they get caught, other people see that, and all of a sudden it becomes harder later on. So, yeah, the answer is I
Harder to what?
always abide by the courts.
You're president, you crooked fuck.
Always abide by them, and will appeal. But appeals take a long time, and I would hope that a judge, if you go into a judge and you show him, here's a corrupt situation, we have a check to be sent, but we found it to be corrupt. Do you want us to send this corrupt check to a...
Yeah, that's not what they're ruling on, stupid. At all. No, they would go, that's Congress's problem. If you find that check, you walk it over to Congress and you show it to them, and then they will cancel it. They're the ones who actually have the purse strings. It's not even your fucking job, dummy. That's not what you do. You administer the funds and privileges that Congress applies to the White House. That's why you're the administration.
person, or do you want us not to give it and give it back to the taxpayer? I would hope a judge would say, don't send it, give it back to the taxpayer.
The judge would say, that's a litigation for contract court. If you have a problem with a contractor or they have a problem with the government, you can sue each other. That's civil court. This is about national security. What the fuck does that have to do with an unelected South African who worked here illegally before getting a green card? What does that have to do with him having access to the Treasury?
Yeah, if I can add to that, what we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even going to Americans. So I think we can all agree that
Well, that's USAID, stupid.
if there's going to be fraud, it should at least go to Americans. But a bunch of the fraud rings that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings.
Hold on. Especially what?
And taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually
Entitlement programs. Especially entitlement programs.
foreign fraud rings. They're operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries. We should stop that.
Mr. Musk,
And this is big numbers. Talk about $100 to $200 billion a year.
Sure.
Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said on X
Yeah.
that an example of
Also, again, bullshit. If it's $100, $200 billion a year, cite one fucking thing. Again, it would go a long way towards each of these where you'd actually cite one of them. And I don't see them listed on their on the Doge page or whatever. Here's the spending tracker. But that doesn't mean anything. Total spending trend, outlays, health and human services, on budget, benefit payments, interest, Doge market. Yeah, this is all fucking bullshit. Memes. I don't know. Deficit tracker, spend tracker, debt tracker, friends of Doge. Yeah, I have agent ID. What the fuck is that? Fuck you. Doge clock. That's okay. So that's their thing. All values X kind of Doge data, not official data yet. That's great. All values based on x.com/Doge data, not official data yet. Powered by tracking Doge. Just auto fills. Live tracker. This is how much they're going to save over these days. They're just making it up. We'll be tracking every cent live on Doge. No, you won't. That's not tracking it. You're just giving an arbitrary rolling fucking number. Okay, here we go. So if this is, you can now sort data, view by the latest canceled by Doge. Where? On here. That's a window. Partnered with Polymarket to bring Doge predictions to our site. Continue with great work. 199 wasteful contracts. Also like full list. Okay, these are screen grabs, you dumb motherfucker. Doge recap 2.7, cutting billions. Doge successfully terminated over 4.2 in wasteful spending, including 250 million to wasteful contracts across 35 agencies. They're just stacking the same shit on top of it. 4 billion in National Institute of Health Research administrative overhead. NIH research administrative overhead was $4 billion, which I'm sure is like colleges and universities and all kinds of shit. Let's see, but you don't know. You can track the amount. I don't care about the amount. Okay, where's this part? Full list. Associated Press subscription cancellations, $20 million. Again, these are all because they need them. They don't get them for free. Like the United States doesn't get free access to private newspapers and the like. If they want access to them all the time, they can pay for them. So they subscribe. It's cheaper that way. Breaking, president signs executive. Okay, whatever. 40 million to New York Times, 20 million plus the Associated Press, 500K to Politico. We're just getting started. Again, I call bullshit. NASA Politico subscription cancellations, New York Times subscription cancellations, whatever. Okay, the 100K climbing, whatever. That's melee. 300 Irish Crest balloon, no count. Eliminating the access agents to pay tax, $2 billion, blah blah blah, and of course it will keep him from going after people who are rich and dodging their shit. Congress provided $516 billion in appropriations this fiscal year to programs that have expired authorization. Some of them over 40 years ago. So this is an old guy thing, an old meme. Well, how come when you go to this page? this thing right here, none of this shit's down here on the bottom. Right? Why is that gone? Look here. See this? It's all gone. There's nothing below this page. This is just, it doesn't scroll. I'm scrolling, nothing happens. But on the Doge site, it looks like it has this OPM DEI contract 516 mil, unoccupied lease cancellations. We've heard this USAID DEI contract 375 million. Again, based on what? Why do they call it DEI? Am I supposed, again, is it a trust me bro? This is bullshit. New animations are live. Where? Doge tracker. Okay. Okay, so this is a different page. Here you go. Now this is the one that they actually have in here. Here you go. So why is this? Oh, this is just polymarket predictions. Okay, so leaderboard. Here's the shit that they are allegedly doing. There you go. USAID, 420 million saved by shutting down $40 billion worth of stuff. Fucking 1%. Nice job, guys. Department of Health and Human Services contract termination, saved 182. How many people died because of it? Again, we don't even know what it is. Department of Agriculture, why can't I click on this and see what if it's okay. This is 89 Department of Education contracts terminated. Office of Personal Management DEI contract, unoccupied lease cancellation, USAID DEI contract. Again, these are things they disagree with. 199 wasteful contracts across 35 agencies, which seems like a duplicate of the earlier stuff. Why wouldn't you just list the ones? Department specific DEIA contract cancellation. Department of Agriculture DEI contract. Okay, again, what constitutes DEI? That they want to educate people who are of color or something like that in all these departments? Or FAA DEI contract, $45 million. Okay. What again? A pittance in terms of the budget. Those didn't exist anyways. They certainly didn't create the budget you're talking about. Trump administration federal employee buyout program was $30 billion. That's paid though. That's money that went. That's not money saved. This thing, they had to pay employees to take their retirement early, so they get extra money. And again, the NIH research administrative overhead, again, so they're going to eliminate the coordination of the National Institute of Health. Again, why am I, here's contracts. Federal workforce saved, but okay, this is just random. DEI and HR, $2 billion. Contract cancellation, $6. $30 billion in federal workforce. No. Sectors. Health and social services, government operations, international affairs. Highest one is health and social services, because fuck these people. Fuck the poor. Fuck anybody who's got disabilities. All that kind of stuff. Federal employees buyback program. Employees resigned. Annual savings. No, it isn't. And again, $30 billion in annual savings on 60,000 employees. Sorry, that's whatever, 9 hours of government budget for the year. You don't think we borrow that much in for 9 hours. You think we get more than 9 hours of work out of these 60,000 people? A year. 54 executive orders also. Why is that? I don't give a shit how often he could sign. These are pages out of Project 2025. Why am I supposed to be impressed? I'd be impressed if he passed 54 bills because he worked with Congress and representative government and actually got that shit through, but he's not going to. Lazy. Again, that page doesn't show shit. Abstract numbers, nonsense.
That you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct this statement? It wasn't sent to Hamas actually, it was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that
Jesus. Yeah, that's fun. Hold on one second. So Hamas made bombs out of condoms that were sent to Africa, apparently, that they never saw or touched, and it was really just anti-AIDS stuff. Trump said the U.S. stopped $50 million in condoms for Hamas, but USAID shows no record of sending condoms to Palestinian enclave. But they did go to the province Gaza in Mozambique. The claim from the Trump administration, however, Gaza referenced in the grant description wasn't occupied Palestinian territories. It was referring to a province in Mozambique. Gaza is a rural province in the African nation and the country's least populated, with an estimated population of just over 1 million people.
all the statements that you said were...
Look at Trump. Wait. Look at Trump. Fucking watch him when she goes, "Can you admit you were wrong about them?" And he's like, watch him. You were wrong, motherfucker.
The statements, it wasn't sent to Hamas actually, it was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes. But
What? Sorry. No. You didn't just make a mistake because you said you were like, wrong Gaza. He made up a whole thing about they were turning the condoms into bombs, you weird fuck. And you see Trump going, how dare you question my dipshittery.
we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about.
Yeah, we don't send it per year, dummy.
And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it.
It's also not just condoms. It's it's the grant description. Oops, hold on. Let's see, USAID reports for years between 2007 and 2023 do not show any records of condoms being shipped to the Gaza Strip. It's unclear what this is. The grant was given to the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, which works on different health programs in Mozambique. They didn't send condoms. They gave money to the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation. And the way he's like flippantly, it's just fucking pathetic. U.S. grant worth $83 million was directed toward the prevention of sexually transmitted diseases in Gaza. It wasn't condoms. It was an entire process. It was the entire facility. It was treating it and all kinds of other shit. Just gross.
But, if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Mr. Musk, can you talk a little bit about how closely you're working with agency heads as you're directing these cuts? Do they have how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with the agency heads, there are sort of checks in place. So it's not just us just going in and doing things willy-nilly.
I love how Trump is just a fucking he's like spokes in the wheels of Elon Musk's bicycle. He's just there to flap. Just useless, out of his league, fucking, and this dipshit standing over here with a thing for him to sign to give him something to do at the end of this. All he's got to be doing is sitting there going, I'm a fucking stamp jockey for this dude in his t-shirt and long coat and jeans and hat inside the Oval. There's something sweet about this. Something just really enjoyable about the fucking teeth grind.
And it's in partnership with the agency heads, and I checked frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president wants to have happen. So we talk almost every day, and I double check things to make sure, is this something, Mr. President, you want us to do this? Then we'll do it.
USAID has been one of your main targets. Are you concerned at all that some of the cuts or that shutting that agency altogether may lead to diseases or other bigger problems starting in other countries that then come to the United States?
Yeah, so that's an interesting example. So that's something where we work closely with the State Department and Secretary Rubio. And we have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention.
You turned it on? Maybe you shouldn't have turned it off in the first fucking place. Maybe you could just let stuff run while you're fixing it and shut it down as a problem instead of zeroing out things like Ebola prevention and just going, we'll get around to it if somebody bitches.
Left that, you said?
Yes, correct. And we are moving fast, so we will make mistakes, but we'll also fix the mistakes very quickly. So.
Yeah, my problem isn't that. It's what you'll be doing while you're covering your ass because you made a mistake, and also what you consider a mistake. Because again, you're not talking about fraud or waste or any of these things when it's just programs you disagree with. That Congress has, by the way, already allocated the money for because the vast majority of Americans, let's say, do.
USAID?
I think that there's some worthy things, but overall, if you say what was the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand the light of day.
I can just ask a follow-up to the...
Well, then show what they are. Right? If that's the case, if the vast majority of it legitimizes shutting it down, then you should be able to show over a quarter of it was wasted and didn't actually have any benefit and was waste, fraud, and abuse or didn't have a ROI on it. But they're not. They're just kind of using the words fraud, corruption, and that kind of stuff as a wall against anybody going, why would you consider that fraud or abuse when it actually has the ROI on it is extraordinary compared to what we're spending on what we get back.
The Pentagon contracts, if you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense, is that a conflict of interest?
Yes, we definitely need to do and are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No.
Yes.
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be putting for the contract. And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where where it was awarded to SpaceX and it wasn't by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, let me know, because every one of them was.
The president said the other day that...
Yeah, again, that sounds like a fucking sales pitch. The problem is all the secondary contracts that we either don't know about because they're secret, or you are weaseling your way into by finding out what other people bid for it and undercutting them because you basically have an insider trading track to the Department of Defense now.
You might look at treasuries. Could you explain that a little bit? What kind of fraud, and that question goes to both of you, what kind of fraud are you expecting to see or do you see right now in U.S. treasuries?
Yeah, I think you mean the Treasury Department as opposed to Treasury bills, or...
You also referenced treasuries on Air Force One the other night.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, really, the first order of business is to make sure we're actually collecting... Sorry for this. Although my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears and stuff. So it's a bit hard to hear sometimes. Hey, stop that. The stuff we're doing with the Treasury Department is so basic that you can't believe it doesn't exist already. So So, for example, like I mentioned, just making sure that when a payment goes out, it has to have a payment categorization code. It's like what type of payment.
Yeah, this is again, this is bureaucratic, like bookkeeping. This is his argument of my system over your system. What he's trying to do right here is sell his software to the Treasury. We'll replace the Treasury software with our software forever. You want to talk about a major fucking contract? That's what this is.
It is this. You can't just leave the field blank. Currently, many payments, the field is left blank. And you have to describe what's the payment for, some basic rationalization. That also is left blank. So this is why, the Pentagon, when's the last time the Pentagon passed an audit? I mean,
And seriously, Trump is a fucking pedestrian during this. It's kind of hilarious. I mean, if you think all the like VP Trump, President Musk shit was driving him crazy before this press conference, after this, it's really going to sting. Because he's just, everything he's talking about is kind of over his head, and he's doing his best to like keep up to the level where he looks like he's in charge. And he knows he isn't. Look at him. Like the kid is more aware of what's going on than he is.
a decade ago, maybe, ever, really. And we want to just, in order to actually pass audits, you have to have financial information that allows you to trace the payments.
You need data, and you need a software that allows you to trace the payments. And we just so happen to have a software that does the job. It's fantastic. You're lucky I was here when your business was having some issues.
And once in a while, the Treasury has to pause payments if it thinks the payment is going to a fraudulent organization. If a company or organization is on a do not pay list, we should not pay it. I'm sure you would agree. Like if it's quite hard to get on that payment, the do not pay list, it means that this is.
All right, this is the second time we've heard this shit. It's going to amount to like $10 million worth of something. And this is it makes a great anecdote, but you could tell that the number is so small that it's not even worth discussing.
Someone that is like dead people, terrorists, known fraudsters, that kind of thing, we should not pay.
That kind of thing. Yeah, I agree. We shouldn't, those kind of things, we shouldn't pay them. So name one and get specific, asshole. If you're going to talk about transparency and all this shit, I don't want to hear this like jagged horseshit generalizations.
But currently we do, which is crazy.
To who? To who? No, we don't. I'm just going to assume all of it's bullshit until you can just be specific about some of it. And again, transgender surgeries in fucking Venezuela that were paid for through an organization that USAID gives charity money to protect like reproductive rights and stuff in other countries. And because of law in this country, they had to be open to somebody who required surgery, and they just went ahead and did it. It was like, I don't hear shit about that. That doesn't even chart. Again, you're not going to clear $500 billion, or $1 trillion from, half the deficit getting rid of Venezuelan transgender surgeries. It doesn't even chart. It just gives you something to ick out people, and they'll stop listening. Oh my God, it must be, we probably give away half our money in transgender surgeries. Like that's what you're hoping for.
We should stop that.
How about this? How about, why are we spending $40 million to send this dickhead to the Super Bowl? When he's rich, he could pay it himself. He could reimburse. Why does if a congressperson goes on a trip that is politically beneficial, that's unnecessary, that doesn't have anything to do with, he's not there for, regional meetings or any of that kind of stuff. He's got to pay for his own freight. How come this dude has got his own fucking plane, doesn't have to reimburse the American taxpayer to go to the fucking Super Bowl?
And by the way, hundreds, thousands of
Oh, shut up.
transactions like that. We have a big team. And for the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But we're looking at just, when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military, we're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas. But the USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt.
Based on what? Again, this is just bullshit. He just doesn't like it. This is just him doing Putin and Xi Jinping a fucking favor. USAID, like stuff the State Department does, is U.S. soft power. Beats the shit out of guns, man. If you can persuade allies and help people in need and show that you're a magnanimous country, we should be doing more of that. USAID technically should have a bigger budget than the military, ultimately. Like, we don't have to fight wars. Everybody loves us. Like, that's how you would do it. It's way better to buy your way into people's hearts than bullet your way in.
And I can't imagine a judge saying, well, it may be corrupt, but you don't have the right. You got elected to look over the country and to
present it to Congress, and if they agree with you, they can pass a bill and eliminate the funding. Super easy. Easy fucking peasy. Doesn't even require Elon Musk.
As we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not things are right that they're paying, or that things are honest that they're paying.
It might be great already, for all you know.
And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, they've been saying, how can you take that person's right away? You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look at who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars.
Way over a lot of billions. Fuck me. Yes. Now you know why he sits there mostly quiet during this shit. That's hold on, I'm gonna move this up. Hold on, I know I went over. Give me 1 second. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? There you are. Yeah. White House fired the independent inspector general for U.S. agents for AID on Tuesday evening, day after his office blistered impact of his efforts to see. Yeah. Totally not surprising. Not at all. Yeah, that would be this guy right here. Trump fires USAID inspector 1 day after blistering report. Paul Martin, appointed by Biden in 2023 in December, which, of course, why would they keep him? He's killing all the IGs because he doesn't want anybody looking. Informed by a 2-sentence email from Trent Morse. Oversaw staff 275. On behalf of Trump, I am writing to inform you the position is gone. Whatever. 3 people with knowledge of the event confirmed he was fired. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Look what happens when you write a report critical of this administration. They fire you the next day. This chills independent oversight. Exactly what we need right now. He didn't decline to comment. Termination Martin follows his office's publication of a widely read report warning that $489 million in food assistance was at risk of spoilage or potential diversion after the Trump administration implemented its freeze and stop work order. While most USAID staffers have been placed on paid leave by the administration, the Inspector General staff continued working. And concluded that even though Trump's pause in foreign assistance provided a waiver for emergency food assistance, shipments of in-kind assistance were delayed around the world because USAID-funded implementers faced conflicting instructions, and staffers were unable to provide clear instruction because of communication restrictions, because Trump doesn't fucking understand the implications of anything that he's doing. Fuck, this went long, guys. Sorry. It's very exciting. We're almost done.
Already in 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And
yeah, I don't believe him now, dummy.
Much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty.
Well, then, like what? If it's incompetence and dishonesty, that should be easy, man. Those are 2 big ones. This wasn't supposed to be paid, and it just kept going out because somebody was just so dumb that they didn't. Okay, who? Fucking who? Say it. If it's dishonest, it's a crime. Get at it, motherfucker. Like, make some charges. Call the DOJ. I have a feeling, though, a lot of this is just going to go on a list and you're going to pretend it's gone because you cut off the funding for the entire agency and therefore it vanished in the night, and you're not going to prosecute anybody because it wasn't fraud, and you're not going to bring it up again because it wasn't waste. You just disagree with it.
You have to catch it. And the only way you're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it,
you're allowed to look for it. You're the president. You've got a Treasury Secretary. They have an entire staff.
that's pretty sad for our country. I don't understand how it could even work.
That's because you're a simpleton.
Program, can you personally guarantee that?
Which one?
The buyout program, the offer to federal workers. Can you personally guarantee that the workers who opt in to resign now will be paid through
Well,
September?
they'll get their money, but they're getting a good deal. They're getting a big buyout. And what we're trying to do is reduce government. We have too many people. We have office space. It's occupied by 4%. Nobody's showing up to work because they were told not to. And then Biden gave them a 5-year pass, some of them, 48,000 of them, gave them a 5-year pass, that for 5 years, you don't have to show up to work.
No, they have to work. They just don't have to go to an office.
And let me tell you, this is largely, much of this stuff is because of Biden. It's
No, it isn't.
his fault. He allowed this country, what he did on our border. What he did on our border is almost not as bad as what he did with all of these contracts that have come out. It's a very sad day when we look at it. I can't even believe it, but
Yeah, nobody can, dummy.
many contracts just extend and they just keep extending, and there was nobody there to correct it. And
Like what? It's many. You should have at least one on the top of your dome, right? Like, I mean, I have, like, if you were just like, hey, Hal, do you know anything about, have you ever heard anything about real estate deals? I remember one where Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were vying for the same building, the one that Trump ultimately won in that auction and sold to a Russian oligarch who bulldozed it for way more money than it was worth. But he and Epstein were dueling over it, and allegedly that's what broke them up as friends. And we now know that they actually stayed friends after it years later, and Trump continued to call him almost every day after they were supposedly not talking anymore over some bullshit story that they told at Mar-a-Lago. I know that, like off the top of my head, pops right in. Right? I don't have to even go look it up. Like, thought about it, so it's kind of stands out as a detail. You know what I mean?
that cannot be, I can't imagine that could be held up by the court. Any court that would say that the president or his representatives.
Well, that would be the part. Your representatives. You have cabinet secretaries and people like that who are approved by Congress and are official people. You can't just have lobbyist groups kind of jack the government. That's kind of the issue, and that's all this is. This is a lobbying group.
Like Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, whatever, doesn't have the right to go over their books and make sure everything's honest.
They do. So why the fuck do you need this dipshit?
I mean, how can you have a country? You can't have anything that way. You can't have a business that way. You can't have a country that way. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, press. Head down.
Coming back tonight. Mark Vogel will be at the White House tonight at about 10 o'clock. If you want to come over, you can say hello to him.
Did you guys give anything in return?
Not much. No, they were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia, actually. I hope that's the beginning of a relationship where we can end that war and millions of people can stop being killed. They've lost millions of people. They lost, in terms of soldiers, probably 1.5 million soldiers in a short period of time. We got to stop that war. And I'm interested primarily from the standpoint of death.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's how people talk. That's how humans talk. That's how I saw. I'm interested primarily in the area of death.
We're losing all those soldiers, and they're not American soldiers. They're Ukrainian and Russian soldiers. But you're probably talking about 1.5 million. I think we got to bring that one to an end. Okay.
Yeah, I thought you were going to do it within an hour of being sworn in, or a day of winning the election. Guess fucking not. I guess that's just all right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're moving.
Let's go.
Look at him. He's just bored. Over it. Look at his face. This is his own press conference, and 80% of the conversation went to Elon Musk, and he got to know right now. He's got to feel it. Look at him. Look at his fucking face. president of the goddamn country, and I'm second banana to this motherfucker, right?
Thank you for moving.
That's it. That's it. We made it through. I love you guys. That's so funny. I had so much extra shit to do, but that ended up being long and kind of important, I would say.